minorities regardless of their ability to pay it back, which, is the racism of lowered expectations of minorities, which it tends to be, when you really get into like thinking less of minorities, it's typically the Democrats.
Well, you were just telling me yesterday, the day before, the idea that mourning is racist.
Yeah.
Like, again, to go back to your, racism by lowered expectations.
Right.
So now having a, let's say, 7, 8, or 9 a.m. start time is racist because how dare we expect minorities, specifically black minorities, to show up to work before 11.
Right.
Like, explain to me how that's not racist.
You've created a racist stereotype and then normalized it. And I feel like,
Well, also saying that we're not racist. Like, we
Right.
can't forget the second half of that statement is, but this expectation isn't made out of racism. It's made out of love.
Right.
Like,
because we understand you.
Because we understand you. Like, how... Like, explain to me, like I'm 5, how that is not racist. And I can even see how that's appealing in the sense that as a minority, I could very easily play into it and say, well, how dare you expect me to come in before 11? You know what I mean? Because I want to sleep in late. But it's pressing it's incentivizing
the worst behavior in
the
people.
worst behavior in people and then saying, see, we gave them what they needed.
Well, here's the thing. Like, if you incentivize bad behavior, like this is actually kind of a good segue into what we were going to talk about today as our main topic. But we've talked about before with colleges is that people, have a good and bad side. Like, we all have tendencies that are not good, and we always strive to be better. But like sometimes, we fail and fall short.
Sure.
So, like, when you create laws that are not going to be enforced. We were talking about, like, most rapes happen in areas where they're not going to be prosecuted.
Sure.
So, like, here's the thing. Like, if there are, places where theft isn't going to be prosecuted, there are going to be more thefts. Like this is just human nature. Like, if I, if you even think about, like, murder, like, I don't murder, but, like, there's a couple of people in my life who, like... If I didn't, like, think about consequences for myself, for my family... Oh, yeah, if there was a purge day, there's some people getting targeted.
Yeah.
And like, I know this about myself. But, like, I also know I don't want to go to prison. I don't want to go to prison for the rest of my life. I don't want to lose my family over it. I don't want to be executed. I don't want to go to jail and have to deal with all of that. Like, there's things that are more important to me than that.
Sure.
But if there was no consequences and I knew I wouldn't be prosecuted, oh, yeah, there's some motherfuckers that'd be dead. And it's like, if you have people, and this is a different conversation that I definitely want to... I think this is going to be Friday's conversation. But men have much lower sex partners than women, which I feel like that whole statistic needs to get addressed.
Men, are you talking about body count?
Yes.
Huh.
Well, here's the thing. Like, when you have the general body count, it always... Like, the average is the average for both sides.
Sure.
But, like, there are more men that just don't have sex. So when you have a frustrated population, like, when you have, I think it's like 40-50% of men just really don't have sex at all. So when you have that, like, and you have that kind of frustration, and you're going to tell me when you're young and, like, full of hormones, and you go to college, and the laws at colleges are designed to not prosecute rapes. So, like, all of a sudden, there's a lot of rapes in college. No shit. Like, I'm not saying that that's a male thing or a good thing or a whatever thing. I'm saying that, like, colleges can't be surprised that this happens when they're skewing the laws to tell men you are not going to be prosecuted because...
Because you might go on... Well, let's be blunt about it. The consequence is you're going to go on academic probation.
Right.
Oh, my, like... Not academic probation. Don't say it isn't so.
Well, because here's the thing. They create these microcosms where if you do something on campus, it goes through the campus police, the campus tribunals, which at most you get expelled.
Right. Again, oh no, don't expel me from my local community college.
Right.
Oh no. And you get to keep my... And, you're going to release my transcripts anyways, as long as I've paid my tuition in full.
Right.
Okay.
I might have to go to a lesser college next till whatever to, But my point is nobody's really getting hurt here except for the women, but that's kind of what they want. I think that what they really want is it's not a male-centered thing, it's that they want women to have been victimized. Because it's this whole idea of like you go to college to get indoctrinated, and one of the ways they indoctrinate people is they create racism intentionally so that you will have some idea of the victim mentality, but then you also have people supporting you and saying it shouldn't be happening. But they never address the fact that it happens only in these liberal institutions.
What's interesting is I think it's twofold. So one is this, we'll call it decentivized, consequences, where like your consequence is really just very barely nothing.
Right.
But it's twofold in that they're also training women to be victimized in the sense that, so there was a study that I saw maybe about 10 years ago. So what the study did is they took women from about, it was a 10-year span, so 15 to 25, ages 15 to 25, and they had these women and young ladies go and have a close but not intimate contact with a store clerk, right? So like it's a clothing store or it's somewhere where they would need to ask for help on purpose. The study was designed this way. So they would ask the male attendant like, "Oh, can you get me a shirt, or can you get me something that they would have to physically interact with the female," right? And the base group was given no training in the sense that afterwards the B group was then taken to a sexual assault seminar where the entire seminar was geared towards recognizing intent or recognizing like maliciousness, like what could a man be thinking while he's doing something. And what's interesting is that none of the participants in the standard group, what do you call it? The control. None of the participants in the control group reported any kind of sexual assault, any kind of malice, untoward behavior. Like they all just reported that the attendant or the clerk was professional, that they were intuitive or that they were very helpful. But 50% of the B group that was given that training afterwards, and they called it what do they call it in at work when you have to take the sexual conduct?
Right. Yeah.
That's what they called it. 50% of them reported that the attendant or clerk had assaulted them. And it was the exact same interactions and the exact same attendant, and it was the idea that it could have been the training that, well, you need to be aware. We need to make you aware of your possibilities. And these are reportings after the fact. They didn't report it right after the thing, right after the event. They only reported it after the training.
Right. Well, it's funny. Like, I remember my grandmother always used to tell me that my mother, who's, sees all the abuse, all the places, that she went to some group that was like a therapy thing that, like, was trying to teach like repressed memories of like abuse, and like she seemed like such a happy girl. She went off, she moved away to work, and then got involved with a group that was telling her about all the male traumas of things. And then she came back and like, I was abused.
See, and like the thing about it is that it's such a fine line, like, because I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. It does. Right. Like assault happens, like malicious things happen. It's the idea that it's ever present and like constant,
intentional as well.
Intentional, like it's it is a, like you can't walk out your door.
Right.
That's what actually really gets me. What really gets me is the commercialization of female weapons. Like you cannot leave your house as a female without a like brass knuckles that are disguised as some kind of weird kitty cat keychain
Right.
with like really pointy ears so that you could like stab somebody with this like cute keychain because you're so in danger every
Right.
second of your life.
Well, I think the other thing too is it's like I'm just thinking, and you can maybe relate, is like I have over the course of my life in crowded places, restaurants,
Sure.
bars, concerts, whatever. You know, like you accidentally touch someone in a no-no area. Like these things happen.
Sure, you're like, my bad. Like,
Right. I'm also thinking like, you know, the reverse of that is like I've been tapped and touched in places by strangers, you know, and it happens. Like it does. And like
well, if you go to a club, if you go to a concert, if you go to a festival, I mean, any kind of crowded area where you're standing hip to hip.
right. And
Like-
you're trying to move through and then like people are different heights and whatever.
Sure.
And it's like and then there's the people you see and then there's the people you don't see and you're like, oh shit, whoops.
Yeah.
You know. And like but the thing is you can apologize, but if you're looking for that to have been
Intentional, sure.
intentional, like you know, then all of a sudden, everyone that is in your community all of a sudden becomes
Is a perpetrator.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I've only ever one time felt I was intentionally whatever, and I was at a gay bar. Like I had a bunch of gay friends, and what I found in college was that we used to call them fag hags, the girls that used to hang around all the gay dudes that couldn't get whatever. That they were more susceptible to male attention.
Sure.
I mean, they were a little bit less pretty. We called them hags. But I used to go to the gay bar and try and dance with the girls who always like to dance with men and try and pick them up. And I was dancing with a girl at a thing, and a dude came up from behind me and stuck his hand down into my pants and grabbed my dick. And I remember I turned around and I decked him. And, like, the whole bar erupted. Like, you know, hate crime, all the
Oh
shit.
my
And
God.
I'm just
Toxic masculinity. Excuse me, sir. His hand was in my pants.
yeah, like, he just grabbed my dick. Like, I'm pretty sure if I were a woman, he'd be in jail. Like, he got
Sure.
off lucky.
But yeah, no. But
Yeah.
you, just a man. Like,
Yeah.
how dare you be offended?
Yeah.
You got attention.
Well, what do you mean to a gay bar? What'd you
I
expect?
mean, what'd you expect? Golly. I mean, the double standard really is just outrageous.
Oh, it's insane.